I would say top 1% in like getting people to work together. Like I always had a lot of friends. They all gave up. Every single founder, and we just stuck through it. And now I have 2 dogs, literally because I was at the White House. Yeah, I've been hyper-focused on the startup, so just trying to get the startup to become as successful as possible. So I think keeping the team rallied, keeping them focused, making sure they're like organized, making sure we're like focused on just now we're in like, I would say like revenue, trying to get product market fit dialed in as much as possible. So like that's been a huge thing in my mind, I would say. That's one big thing right there. What else? I have 2 dogs, 3 cats, so it's always a zoo in my house. So it's like a crazy place all the time. So I'm always making sure that they're taken care of. They want to go out, they want to get walked, they want to like run around. But let's see, I think it's all of those things. I think it's just like juggling all of those all the time and making sure like all those pieces are okay in my life and just making sure everyone's okay. But, you know, in this startup itself, it's like keeping the team motivated, making sure they're like all aligned and making sure like we're just dialed in. So like on the startup side, it's like just even just that's like enormous amounts of time, just making sure like we have the right team in place, like who's working well, who's not working well, who needs to have a talk, how do we motivate people, how do we like figure out, you know, to dial in on the sales side. So like all those pieces there. And Analia does these really interesting things where Analia, my other co-founder, comes into town, I'd say 4 months or 3 months twice a year. So she's in town now. So we basically do a ton of events when she's in town, which that's been eating up a lot of my time. So I'm hosting a dinner on Thursday with 22 Y Combinator founders. And, you know, just wanted to prep for that, get that ready. I think that's ready to go. But we did like 2 events already. And it's a free way for us. This is a hack that we learned is like, we don't have to spend any money. You get a banker to pay for it, or you get a large accounting firm to pay for it. And it's great. That's what I would say this time that she's been in town, that we've been focusing on getting just other people to pay for the dinners and sponsor it. And then we just basically host it. And it's like a joint effort. So far, really successful. Last event was last week. 1 lead came in just from the event. I'm like, this is great. You just like, and you know, the other people are all possible leads. So it's like you foster those relationships, but it's a startup. Like, whatever anyone says it's a startup. You're trying to dial in to get product market fit. In my mind, product market fit is like when you can do a sale very quickly and have little friction. So like when you have a lot of that not dialed in, which we're working on it, you know, and a lot of the startups in Silicon Valley are working on this. I think it's like a stressful time. So people are under immense stress to build product. People are under immense stress to make sales. People are under immense stress to like work without as much salary in this reality. So it's like, you know, I am not paying Google salaries. Like I'm not offering these high cash compensations like Apple. So like part of it is a belief in the company and the belief in like what we're doing. So they either get it, they buy in and they get stock options. They buy in and just like take a lower salary. So a lot of them are like working nonstop when there was nothing there before. Like Google has Google. So if you go work for Google, you can go work on Android, you can go work on, you know, Waymo, you can go work on Google Search, you can go work on Google Ads, you can work on YouTube, you can go work anywhere. But at a startup, it's like you're working from it's not ground zero anymore, but it's just, we're just dialing it's a lot of refinement very quick. Unlike Google, which it takes months, you know, in a startup, it's way faster where we're just trying things out. Like, you know, now I'll give you an example. Like for the first time, we're trying ad spend and we're like, will this be our conduit to getting more sales? Will that work for us? Will we be able to get more sales from like dialing in on LinkedIn and Twitter and, you know, all these other places? So like it's a test. So the stress is on the marketing team to like work harder. They have to like, we had no paid ads before, 0 paid ads up until this point, until like a month ago. So like we hired someone in, that's not totally true. We hired someone in, they kind of tried it out in their way, but it just wasn't right. So we imposed it on our team to like learn it, do it, get it done like ASAP. So, you know, that stress either burns people out. Here it's like trial by fire. I'm training them a lot, but at the same time, they have to do a lot on their own. So it's like you have to do cold calls. You have to do cold emails. You have to like market the company as a salesperson. It's not like Google where there's like, you know, piles of people just flying in through all of these avenues all the time when they just release a new product, whatever it is, like Gemini. It's like, we're going to make Gemini now. boom, you've got all these users just trying it out at least and trying to understand if it works. So, I would say startups, there's a lot of like stressors, but some people are like, they lean towards that and they clam onto it. And then others like try it and they're like, this is not for me. I'm too stressed out, or it's not enough money, or I don't even know how to learn the product on my own. And, I educate as much as I can, but at the same time, it's trial by fire. It's really, you're learning way more. The risk is way higher. The benefit is more in the learning and the potential upside in the equity. So like, but a lot of people just want that safety net of Citibank, whatever it is, like you're at a big company then. It's like, you just kind of just stay in your lane, you do your job, and then you go home at 5 p.m. That's it. It's like, you kind of get used to that life and you're not good at startups then. Because if you do that 20 years, I'll give you an example, like professors. I spoke to a bunch of professors over the last like couple of months. Imagine being a professor at a safe college for the last 40 years. And then like this thing, ChatGPT, comes out. Like, I could see that they couldn't change their thinking. And they're like, we don't use that. I know how to teach. I'm a professor. It's like such a different, it's just the way they are. It's just that it's like they're set. It's like they have their whole curriculum. They teach computer science. They teach whatever history. It's just like ChatGPT is like completely changing their world. And like, I don't know if they're going to be able to pivot fast. Like some of the colleges, because the professors are just not pivoting fast enough. So that the students are running circles around their professors now with all this like new tech. And it's super different. So like at a startup, you're bending the person all the time to see if they can do the job. So it's like stressful on them. Like, like if you're a salesperson, you have to make sales. Like if the product doesn't exist, put it in the contract, write it up, sign it, and we'll get it built out fast. It's like, that's the bending, and they have to have that like fortitude to work through that. And the engineers, they have to learn on the job. So it's a lot of, trial by fire. And we, of course you can hire senior engineers, but like things are moving so fast now. If you don't use things like Cursor, it's like this really cool tool. It's like, if you're not using these tools, it's like, you're kind of already like a legacy developer. So like the pressure is also on the developers to like keep moving fast at our company. Unlike at a big company like Citibank, it's like you can use Java and you don't use any AI and you're fine. It's like, so the stress is on like way, way more at a startup, because you're also running out of, you're not totally, keep this comment, you're not profitable. So it's like that we have a time limit to get profitable. So we're always looking at every employee. You can hide it. You could hide at Facebook. You could hide at like some of these companies and not do any work. Here, I kind of am like immediately know, like, we don't have 250 people. We don't have that. Like, we don't have 1,000 people. We have, 15. It's like a small group. And I know exactly like this person's working on this, that person's working on that. It's like, it's not like it's all in your head. Like everybody kind of knows what everybody's working on at our company, and everybody knows each other's names. So you could hide at these larger companies, but I'm always forever grateful to YC because they were the first believers in my company. So like, originally the founders of Reddit found us. Like they came to our offices, they looked at our product, they saw us like building the first medical record. This is my first company. We built the first medical record on the iPhone and iPad for my first company. And YC took a chance on us. And everybody else was kind of scared at the time. And this is years ago. Like, so YC is very bold and they kind of roll the dice. It's like, they kind of, you go with a lot of these more top tier investors, like that used to be more top tier. Like they were very hesitant and slow moving, and they wanted to see like credibility from like, do you have a Harvard degree? Did you get your PhD? Did you do 2 startups? Like, so they were really hesitant to just like try different people. And, YC to me was like a believer in, you don't know what you don't know. So invest in people and see what the outcome is. And it was a very different take than like the old guard of VC, which was, I'm saying like 1990, 1992, 1993, 95. It was a very different breed of investor where they literally just like were so cautious, and you had to be in the special group. And I think YC is good at breaking that up and saying like, these founders are friends. They both can code. Let's give them a chance because we like them. It's a very different thinking, but they're also like they're very high risk. So their tolerance for risk is really high, meaning if they lose 50% of their portfolio, they're still in an amazing position. So they're doing like, I almost see it as like very high volume investing, but it also changed the world because it also flipped the narrative on the original investors, which were the old guard VC, which was, pick one company, give them $40 million and then go all in on them. And if it's not working, that's really bad. That's really, really bad because we lost $40 million. That was the old way of doing things back in the day. It changed a lot. Like when I first did YC, there was no software. Like it was all in person. So like when I did demo day, I had to run up to people and get their paper. And it was very like one by one by one, like, and the investors who were excited they'd have to talk to you now. Like they had to like go to, so you do demo day, you stand there and then the investors would run over to you and hand you their business card. And that was just the way things were done when I did YC the first time. And, I got all these business cards and I got everybody's contact info and I was writing like investors info down. Yeah, it's completely like digitized and I think they've streamlined a lot. I mean, the benefit of what it was before, and I'll give you a crazy story. Like in demo day was all day and it was one day when I did demo day the first time. It was from like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. to like midnight. It was really till like 9 p.m. But anyway, we did our pitch and I stayed till the very end. I think it was like 10 or 11 p.m. And I was the last entrepreneur. And I'm like, I'm just going to talk to any investor who's like here. So like, you don't get this a lot like now, but last man standing like can talk to like the last investor in the room. I mean, I think YC is bringing this back now, but it was 10:30 p.m. I run up to the investor and he's like, you're the last one here. I'm just going to invest in you. Like, because he was waiting to see who had the fortitude to like stay there. So I'm like, it was a nice intimate setting. It was also less investors there. So it was a more like selected group. Now I feel like there's a lot of investors. VC has become like a normalized thing, way more out there. Before then it was big, but it's not like what it is now. There's a lot of boutique firms. There's a lot of like mega firms. It's a very different world. Back then, like, I don't know, YC had a very, like, they were pulling in, I'd say a select group of investors. I mean, I'll tell you the biggest thing is when I did YC, they gave us like, I think it was around $20,000. That was it. That's what we got. So like, it was more of a believer mindset also. It was not like what it is today. Back then, like you knew it wasn't enough money. You just knew, but you still took the money and like you worked with them because it just was like the advice and like the connections and it kind of helped break you into Silicon Valley. And like, I think that was enough. Now, granted, like in the batch, we were the batch where it shifted because about a month and a half into the batch, this guy, Yuri Milner, came in. He came into the building a month and a half in and said, we all know you got around $20,000 per company, but I'm going to give everyone in this room $150,000. And it just immediately, that was the moment YC shifted from like high risk for the entrepreneur to like a more stable investment. And it was just like, boom, like it was a pressure valve off of my chest because I'm like, it wasn't enough when they invested. It was not. And we all knew we didn't have enough. So imagine being at YC when it was the early days, you just knew it wasn't enough. It was more unsettling because now they give you around $500,000 out of the gate. And it's enough if you're like frugal and you don't burn through the cash. You can make a company really successful and you're not forced to take bad terms. You're not forced to even raise. If each founder takes like $40,000 or whatever, $50,000, and you have two founders, you can go a long time to find product market fit. So like, it is nice the way that YC lays itself out now where it gives way more cash. They also have all these software tools for hiring now. They have software tools to like map out other entrepreneurs in the area. I just went to an event Friday. It was the 20th anniversary of YC and they just had amazing entrepreneurs there. Everyone you can think of was there. And I'm like, even though it's like, I did it so long ago, and even if I didn't do it a second time, they still pulled me back in to like go, Brian Chesky was there. Sam Altman was there. The founder of DoorDash was there. All these guys were just like in the same room and they're like fostering those old connections. So they're like, they don't just let you go and like, you're off on your own. I think some colleges do that where they just kind of, you graduate and they're like, good luck, go find your job. And NYC, they're pulling people back in. It's like the software is doing a lot of that too. It's like really crazy the way that the software is like doing these organizations and these subgroups and all of this stuff. So it's changed my life, but I mean, that just gives you guys some of the perspective. I mean, I think the thing that scares me is cold outreach used to be really easy. It used to be easier. And I think now people distrust all the AI cold outreach that's happening. And I'm like, since AI was, in whatever it is, 2022, 2023, 2024, people are way more distrustful of like an email that comes in. And I think it's way harder to penetrate through all of that, where I'm seeing a shift to they want to see a real human being write an email, or they want to meet you in person more. As crazy as it sounds, people just gave me their business card at an event, and I'm like, it has more meaning. It's like what happened. Like this one guy ran up to me at our last hosted event, and he's like, I really wanted to talk to you. Like he immediately started to connect because we were in person, and he's like, I have a customer for you. Here's all the details. If we didn't host that event, I don't know if he would have ever reached out, because there's so much going on in his personal life. I feel like there's too much coming at people now where AI is only causing more stress on companies with that. So, and it's not just my company. I think that everyone is feeling this. I've been hearing this from entrepreneurs all over the place, and people have newer strategies. Like one of the strategies is, you are the face of the company now. Like the founder, you in the past, you never saw the founder as much. You're seeing the founders way more now have to be the face of a company. And it's just like the norm now. It's becoming way more the norm because you connect to that person, and that person has to be out there, and they have to be selling, and they have to be talking to their users. You didn't have to do that with the Cisco. Like when Cisco was created, I can promise you like 97% of people have no idea who the founders of Cisco are. But with Perplexity, everybody sees him. If I didn't know who the founder of Perplexity was, I would question it more. Where's my Where's my data going? Who is this person? With AI, you're really like, you need to know more to feel comfortable. And I think like founder of Perplexity is doing such a good job of social media, and he's like very, he's talking about the culture there, whether you realize it or not. Like it's coming out of the person. And I think it helps. I think it helps a lot. But product is, at the end of the day, like everyone is your friend when you have the best product. So like it doesn't really, the product just has to be amazing in itself. But the social creates like social trust. Like I get a lot of emails from a lot of just tools out there, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know who the founders are. I don't trust it. Where is it built? Who is it built by? Does it have enough funding? Is it just another like fake tool? But this is also like someone that lives in Silicon Valley. And I'm like, this is the way that I view things. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I don't think there's one right answer. My thinking, there's no one right answer. DeepSeek. Why is there so much distrust around DeepSeek? Like, I don't know who the founders are. It came out of China, supposedly. It's this thing, and it's like people distrust it because of its unknownness. Time is the most valuable thing we have in any startup. Like you're running out of time, your burn rate is there. So I think it's at this phase of the company, it's like engineering and sales. Like those are the two most important things. And it's like, how do we make as much sales as possible? What's going to help facilitate a sale? Or what is going to make the product more stable and successful? So I think it's like those are the two areas that the whole team like is focused primarily on. There are a lot of people that want to talk to me, and I'm like, I don't go to a lot of conferences. I do think that there's this like, you could waste too much time doing conferences and just burn yourself. If there's a conference that's worth it where I can get possible sales, I'll go to that conference. So it's like you pick and choose. So I think there are time sucks and time wasters. I try to avoid those. Like, what's a time suck? Reading the news. I don't read the news. I learn all of my news from other people, as insane as that sounds. So like, I try to avoid all news because I'm like, it's not helping move the company forward. I can't control what's happening out there. Everybody is so, they have strong opinions, and I'm like, I can't change the dynamic of that, but I can work on the startup. So I try not to look at Twitter. So like, I'll give you an example of an entrepreneur from Y Combinator. He said, I look at Twitter too much. I feel like doing a startup is impossible. I give up. And he gave up. Like literally Twitter like messed with his head. And I'm like, you have a lot of money. This is your chance in life. Like, don't screw it up. He had funding and this is a crazy story. I don't know. Isn't that insane? That's insane. I'm like, something is going on Twitter that's like really messing with his head about like how hard it is to do startups. And he gave up. And I'm like, try not to have your competitors mess with your head. Try not to have the news mess with your head. I mean, I have a walking treadmill right there. I have an elliptical over there and I have weights over like literally in this room. So it's like, yeah, I would say that the anxiety of running a startup, you have to release that somehow. So I have all of these like different hacks, my wife calls them. Like when I'm on late night calls with the team, I'll go on the elliptical and I figured out a way to strap my computer on there and do work. When I'm like in a long 2-hour meeting, I'll go on the walk. You know, the walking desk is a hack. I keep my old computer so I can like hop onto my treadmill fast or my standing desk. So, I mean, you know, I think it's just for me, like there's mental load. I don't travel that often also. So I try not to like, that's another thing. So it's like no news. Of course I work out. I try to meditate when I can, but I do it in my own way. I realize like breath work doesn't work. So I do it in my own way. I would say music is a good way to meditate. I have a music teacher, so I've been learning bass and guitar. But yeah, I mean, I guess running a startup is a marathon. It takes a lot of effort, energy, time. I do think some people burn out and they set really high expectations, you know, immediately. Like, we're going to be multimillionaires in a year and a half. I would love that. That's not the reality. A lot of startups take years, right? That's why LP, like funds are 7 years. So they're making the assumption, as you know, as a VC, you're making the assumption it's going to take 7 to 10 years for your big one, your big startup. So I wish startups were set, that expectation was set for entrepreneurs also. A lot of them don't have that expectation. A lot of them have unrealistic expectations that they're going to get rich fast and then they're just going to like quit. I mean, that was the risk I took with my co-founders. I was like, I hope they can withstand the stress of doing this. That's the biggest risk to the company. And, you know, I'm always looking at my co-founders like, are they okay? Is their mental health okay? Are they going to burn out? Because they push themselves. They're pushing themselves really hard, you know? This is my second time, so I'm like, I know what this is, you know? For them, I don't know if now they're realizing it 2 years in. Now they're like, oh, this is like it's not just a quick sprint. It's like a long marathon to get that home run. An example is like one of my co-founders went off on me one day and I was like, they need to cool off. They're overworked like crazy hard. Like, and I can't be angry because they were working like, I don't know, 16-hour days. Like it was too much. They were just burning themselves out. And I'm like, I have to like, I'm not going to be combative because I need them to be dialed in. I need them to cool off. And everything blew over. But I'm like, man, they could just, if you get volatile with like people that are working too much, that'll kill the company. That's what's going to kill the company. It's those stressful times. It's like a marriage. Like you disagree on things sometimes and like you have to walk through it. And like, it's not all sunshine and roses, you know, so you have to like cool off and be like, how do we make this work better? So I do check in with my co-founders a lot and I'm like, are you okay? We're 2 years into it and they're working just as hard as like day one. So like something's working. Something there is working right, which some people like, I don't know. The dynamic shifts in a co-founder relationship sometimes and it's like negative. Have you ever seen Gary Tan talk about that with Y Combinator or no? Oh, he had a big falling out with one of his co-founders years ago. And he talks, if you look on his YouTube channel, he talks about it. He regrets it because he's like, I should have just like worked it out with them. And this was his very first company where I think they sold it or something. Everybody talks about AI and I'm like, we'll miss the boat if we don't do more in AI. And it's moving so fast. But you also want to create a moat. I mean, this is me and my co-founders talk about this a lot. It's like you want to create a moat, something that's not just going to go away, but you want to also create like something that takes fire and like everybody wants to use. So it's, you know, what's a moat? It's like money movement for us. It's like getting our hooks in to like money movement. People will rely on it. It's not like an image generator. You can use this one and then tomorrow another one comes out and you just use that one because it's better. You don't want to just be like a feature of a product. Like, you know, the reality is I think about OpenAI and I'm like, how much is this going to do? And like, will it compete with us? What can we do not to have that happen? You know, for me, it's like building connectors to the banks, like having bank feeds. That's something they don't have, right? Like, but then we plug it OpenAI on top of what we're doing. It allows us to become more valuable together as two companies. AI is moving so fast. I see a lot of competition in our space, and I'm just like, it's moving at light. I haven't seen it move this fast in a long time. I'm like, it's just like lightning fast. Every week a new tool is coming out, competitor tool that I can use, you know. And I'm looking at like the founder of Shopify. I mean, he's like, do not hire. I like that he said this to his own team. He's like, do not hire people. Use a tool to do it now. I love it. I mean, that's really good stuff. That's like, I think it's really smart. I call it a barnacle. I'll give you an example. Like Apple and my first company built the iPhone and the iPad, and it was like a rocket ship. Everybody was just buying iPhones and iPads, everybody. And if you built something for that and you latch onto the side, you like go with them as they like explode into like the atmosphere. And I'm like, this is happening now in AI at such a fast pace. You want to hop onto it and like ride that up into the stratosphere. And I think Perplexity is doing it. Like, they're doing it right. They're not building the models. They're building a better interface. And it's going to use all of the models. And they're not going to have to pour all of their money into those models. Like, they're kind of building a layer on top of it all. And as they get more users, they don't have to invest in all of those models. That's what OpenAI is doing. Like, everybody else is doing that for them. And I'm like, they're a barnacle on the LLM like rocket ship. Like, everybody's pouring, you know, billions into that. They're just like riding that. You don't know who's going to win at the end of it, but maybe there will be a bunch of winners. I don't know. At the same time, I feel like, how do we bring finance to that and make this all work with that? There's a lot of other stuff. Like, my co-founders are talking about how to build like better APIs and what Stripe has done, but that's like core stuff. But that's different than what's like taking off right now. I do think AI is like in this, like, just, it's just someone's going to do it and do it well. Oddly, like, we didn't really think about the name too much. The real name of the company is Loop4 Inc. It's a really silly name. It was a play on words, like with the, you know, looping into for loops, like as a company, like as a developer, there's this one thing that you can do. But we bought that domain for $5. And then we bought Just Paid for like, I don't know, it was like $5. It wasn't expensive. So this is what I'd say, this is a weak area for me. It's like, I don't go into the thought process of getting the perfect name. Like, I saw a company actually 2 days ago and their name was amazing. It was just such a good name. Sometimes the name alone like brings a lot of credit from the investor community. Text.ai. They're very, very new. They're super new. The name is just really good. And I'm like, how much did he pay for that? You know, and like, there's others out. There's a lot of companies like that just get these amazing names. And I'm like, maybe they pay like $3,000. That's a steal. But a lot of people are paying like $60,000 for a name. And I'm like, it might be worth it. Like, I'll give you another example, like Versal. One of the people that work there was telling me about when they first transitioned their name to Versal. I don't know if you know that they did that, but they paid about $60,000 for that domain. And a lot of people thought it was like a waste of money. So I'm like, there is a right time to make the name if you're going to do it. But like, it also like, you know, I don't know. There's so much going on. It's really, really hard to figure out like when to do it. Should you spend the money on a more expensive domain? Like Square used to be Square Up. I do think like some of our existing investors, when we switched the name, were like, why are you doing that? They like the original name. They were like, it's a bigger, more broad name. Like Loop4 can be like broad. So they were thinking bigger than just the payment side. In the early days, yes, like now, but it also constricts us to payments. Like, say we want to like do bigger things like international crypto payments. Not that we're going to go there, but like we always brainstorm ideas, and I'm like, you know, right now we're like constricted. Like, when you have a name like Y Combinator or Google, it's very out there. People might like hate those names though. I don't know. It all depends. But like Text.ai, you kind of understand what they do immediately, right? Like Get Paid, Just Paid, like you kind of get this sense like, okay, the company has to do with payments. So like, I also didn't want to have that battle like with the company because we're focused on payments. So it's like, we want to just like have people know exactly what we do. You know, is the name perfect? No. Could we have a better name? Yes. Are we going to blow $100,000 on a good name? No. Let's get a bunch of users using it, and then we can always like make a change. I mean, I know a couple of multi-billion dollar companies that have like pivoted their names. Like Twitter, that was a tough one because I really like the name Twitter. I'm like, I don't really think they should change it. It was such a good brand. It was a really good brand. I don't know. But Now it's required. It's part of an AI platform. So I get it. It's like kind of wiped it away. It's sad. I don't know, but it was such a fun, it had that like Disney-like feeling, Twitter, tweets, it just had like this fun, like lightheartedness to it. Anything with X is serious. I get the like serious, like let's do something big. We're not going to have a fun company kind of vibe. We're going to work and not have fun. Like, I don't know. If you're going to do it, go for the big markets. That's just the way that I think about it. It's like part of the fun is going big. Like, it's not like limiting yourself to just like one thing, like a Mac notification system. Like, it's just going to notify you of whatever, one thing. It's like, the bigger you go in the market, the more broad you can go. And it just gets me excited about the space a lot. The unknownness of what you're going into is like really exciting when you work in a space that's just unlimited, right? I don't know. I guess it's precision also. Sometimes like very niche markets are just great investments. Like there's no wrong answer, but for me, it's just like, where is there like so much to learn that you just go deeper and deeper? I guess that's part of it. It's honestly like what I like enjoy. It's not, it's like what's going to be fun for me to learn. It's not really that surgical. It's like, what do you like? Let's see. I mean, I usually pitch it as like an AI AR accounts receivable agent that assists your finance team. That's the one-liner, but an AI financial controller so you can afford a real one later. Like an easy, make your life easy, one less thing to worry about, get paid faster. Like something like that could work. Or if you want to go the financial controller route, you could say like, your digital AI controller. There's a few out there. There's a few. It's kind of crazy. We ticked the name and then like a bunch came up. Get paid is not taken. That one's not taken. I should just buy that domain. Worst case scenario, we pivot the name. We could, believe me, there's a million names out there. It's not like I'm dead set on this name. It's like, this is the name we kind of ran with. When you run a company, I ran my last company for a long time. You kind of get disconnected from that community. Like for me, I was running a healthcare like startup that became successful, and I really didn't stay as plugged in to like YC as much as I would have liked, but I was just running my company. So like I really wasn't like involved as much as a lot of companies are. They just get very involved with YC, and I just was focused on building the business, which is rightfully, that's anybody. So like years later, I'm like, okay, I'm going back to square zero, nothing. Like it's a very different game than like what I had. Like lots of people working with me. I had a lot of support systems. We had really great executives. We had such a rock solid engineering team, an amazing sales team. Like when you're starting from zero, it's like anybody that you can leverage in your corner, it's really important. So like for me, I was like, what's the highest chances of success for this company? It's like, get the best investors that I personally know that supported me in the past, like get them back involved. And, YC was like the first phone call for me where I was like, I really want to get them in as the first money because I know that they'll like reboot my mind to like ground zero. I don't think that they play favorites. I think that they scrutinize all second time YC founders. And the reason why is because a lot of founders get arrogant, or they don't listen, or they're just like not humble. I probably could tell you like 10 YC founders that tried to reapply and didn't get in. Like they don't let everyone in. It's not like they let them back in, because then what would happen is people might just give up on their company too soon. I've seen this, like you started, and this is hard. Let me just start again. Let me just get YC again. Like if that happens, that's a really bad, you're not like committed to the company. Does that make sense? Like that's one red flag. But if I was also like, I can tell you like 70% of second time founders fail. Like if you look at Steve Jobs, Next was a failure. And if you look at a lot of other founders in Silicon Valley, their second companies are failures. So there's a risk. There's still a risk there. It's lower, but it's still there. But YC just detects like this founder's not going to work hard. This founder's too arrogant. This founder had a big payday and just wants to get their name out there. Like I think they're detecting things, but it's also, I also spoke to one YC founder like 2 weeks ago and they just roll the dice. So like, it's not like as analytical as you would think. A lot of it is like, they like the founder, they like the team, they have a little traction, they roll the dice, they make the investment. So it's not like they have their own indicators. I'm sure that they just set it at a high level to me, but I'm like, a lot of it is rolling dice. Like they're like, we like this team. They're a good team. The founders have known each other for years. that was one of the things that I think they liked about our company. I knew my co-founders for a long time, so they really liked that. And also they like the expertise because we know a bit about money. We know a bit about like transactions. We had expertise in finance. Like one of my co-founders, Analia, she had an expertise in finance. So like they liked that. They liked that I built businesses before. They liked that my other co-founder was technical. They liked that we worked together in the past. So it was like a lot of that, which like I could see them go, okay, this is a good team. They have all the pieces in place to like make this work. Frankly, like you just trust your gut. It's not as rational as you would think. It's like I trust my gut a lot of the time and like where I should be spending my time. And I just was like, this is a really big space that needs some disruption. And I would love to like have an impact. And it's exciting. It's exciting because like every company in the United States is having and hiring finance people. I just read a report online that said like, even just for tax season, a lot of people are pushing the deadline off, like extending their deadline for taxes because there's simply not enough tax team members to like support all the taxes that need to be done. So I'm like, it is a systemic problem now where people just don't want to go into the finance industry. But that wasn't the primary reason for me doing this. It's like, I just like to explore new areas. And I'm like, this is something that it's not as known to me, like building a company here. And I'm like, this is a really fun space that I really want to like tackle. I didn't really think about it too much. I'm like, the government would be a great buyer for a product. It'd be a game changer, but the sales cycles there are very slow. And I want like those quick sales cycles. So it's like you build from the smaller startups up to like government entities. The answer is yes, though. I'll give you an example. Like there are companies out there that help collect taxes on homes. It's just out there. Like, if you look at Pennsylvania, they have a partnership with a private company. When someone doesn't pay their taxes, the local governments will pass off the tax bills and say these, 17,000 houses have not paid their mortgages. Their taxes. So it's not just the federal government. It's also like the local governments. I mean, they don't want to take your home away from you. They just want to get paid their taxes. So like if you don't pay them, how do you get them paid? You hire a local like corporate company and they'll try to just get you that money. I mean, this is specific to Pennsylvania, but like there are these local entities that like need to get paid from other vendors. So like the government has the same problem. It has the same problem with not getting, and they don't want to like put people, they just want to get paid their taxes. Of course you're going to get like penalized. There'll be penalties because you're paying your taxes late. They just want that all paid. So it's like, it is a problem that's not just applied to like corporations. It's also the government, but it's a different sales cycle. It's a different entity. They're probably going to have to require different requirements. Like we haven't got in that direction at all, but the answer is yes. I would love that. It'd be amazing to like partner up with like local states or even regional areas that like need to figure out how to make those like collect that tax revenue. It's primarily collecting accounts receivable. It's like we figured companies need to stay alive. They need to get their revenue in the door. Accounts payable is less of a fire. So we've been hyper focused on accounts receivable because it's just a bigger business right now. Easier to make sales. There are companies out there that want accounts payable from us. And I'm like, we have said no to them because we've been doing accounts receivable. Like we've been focused on that for the last year. So it's just they're different businesses, like different psychology, but people don't want to make payments. They want to receive payments. So it's easier to buy software to receive payments. Even now, I'm a patient of a few doctors using it. Sometimes they don't believe me. Like I went and got some glasses at an optometry center and they were using DrChrono and the guy kind of didn't believe me. He's like, whatever. He's like, sure, you created the software that I'm using. I was like, I just directly asked him, like, what software do you use? And then, he brought up, we use DrChrono. And I'm like, oh, I created that software. I helped create that software. And, he was kind of like, okay, whatever. And he's just tapping away. And I'm just staring at the screen and he's just kind of doing his thing. And I'm like, yeah, if you ever need any help with it, just let me know. And he's like, okay, sounds good. But he kind of just was doing his thing. He was like selling glasses, at the at his location. So he was one. I mean, there was another doctor that used it that I went to who was like super excited. So they would always ask me like for help. It was weird going to the doctor. I'm not going to lie. There was one doctor I went to who was using it and I'm like, oh, I'm in there. And they had all my stuff in there and they were super friendly about it, but it's fun. I don't know. It's fun when you see people using your software. That's part of the fun of it. You know, it's all over the United States. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of fun to see people using your product. Even now, I just get this like burst of euphoria when people just use our product. It's so fun to see it, like in Just Paid. It's so fun to see people using your stuff. I don't know. It's like hyper exciting because you want to make it better. Like you see what they're using, you see what's broken, you want to like just make it better. So you get like addicted. You get this like, I don't know, what do they call endorphin hits? You know, it's like boom, boom, boom. Got to fix it. That's part of the power of like Google, I guess, because they all use Google, or Apple. They all use the iPhone. It's like they just are the user. It's great when you have users and what's nice about this company is I use our own product to collect our revenue. So it's kind of crazy. So like I'll be on engineering calls. I'm like, guys, we gotta, you know, for this sale, putting the contract in, we're doing this. And they just are staring at my screen as I'm like actually using our own product to do everything. So that's really, really nice when you use your own product to like bill your own customers. There were a lot of things that like brought me to that decision to go into healthcare. I did have this one crazy doctor. I'll tell you one funny story who like lived on my block. He lived down the block from me, like right down the block. You know, there was one day I'm like hanging out with my brother in my parents' house. This is like just a story, like what led me up to starting DrChrono. This is one of many. Anyway, my brother accidentally like cuts me with a knife, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I got to go to the doctor. It looks like I need stitches. And this guy's a local doctor down the block. And I run over to his house. He literally like has an office in his house. It was crazy. He's like, yeah, let me help you. He lets me in his house and he had a medical record from me. And he's like, he looks around, he like grabs it off of a shelf and he like dusts it off. And he's looking through my file. He's like, I don't even know if you had a tetanus shot. And I'm like, I don't remember. You should know. And he's like, I don't remember. So we're just going to give you a tetanus shot. So he like runs away, grabs a tetanus shot, in his house. And I just get a tetanus shot. And he was like so quirky. He took the needle. No joke. This is one of those crazy stories. He takes the needle after he like injected me and he has a dartboard in his house and he throws it after he injected me at the dartboard and he gets it in the dartboard. I'm like, what the hell has just happened? I'm like, he didn't know when I got my last shot. It was all on paper. He had like a really old file from me from like, I don't know, 4 years ago. And like, he's throwing the needle like that he injected into me at a dartboard. And I'm like, this is a quirky doctor. Just like, that's crazy. There's also like your own family, like you don't know what's going on with them. So you want to take care of them. And back then everything was just paper. It was just a world of paper. And I'm like, we could probably digitize some of this stuff, encounter after encounter. It was like, I saw it firsthand. It's like everything was paper driven. And then you'd go to a doctor and then you'd say the same thing. I don't remember when I got my last tetanus shot. And they would just give you another one. So it was like kind of an insane world. They have a few buildings like near the White House. So they have this one building. I don't know the name of it, but basically there's the White House. And then the president like literally runs across the lawn with like his team. And then they go to they have these several big buildings, these white buildings all around the White House. And he kind of just jumps between those buildings. So I was in one of the buildings. It was probably like 20 feet from the White House. Like it was very close. And there's a podium in there and they have the flag behind it. And like he gets up on the podium, and it's President Obama. And then Joe Biden was there and a lot of people in healthcare were there. A lot of people. So they were talking about like how the world's GDP, how the United States' GDP could be like more efficient if we were to like share medical records. And I think, Joe Biden, one of his sons had, I think it was like an aggressive brain cancer, or I'm pretty sure it was an aggressive brain cancer. So he had like a personal vendetta. I don't know if you guys know this about like, he was against like brain cancer and like the horrors it did to his son. So like when you have an aggressive brain cancer, like getting your medical record between facilities is so critical and you have to do it fast because like it's growing. This is dark. Anyway, he had this like really, he wanted like medical companies to like work together. I sat down with Vice President Biden at the time in a small room with like 12 people. And we basically were talking about how we're going to change the system having an open API. And that open API became something called Fire. It's probably the most successful API in healthcare, other than the payments API that they have out there. It's nuanced, but like people had to agree on something to transfer data, right? And that became Fire. So Fire is like an API standard that everyone consensusly agreed on is going to be the standard. I just think that the government kind of said, this is what's going to happen. You have to like be able to, you have the right as a patient to get your medical record out of a system. And then, if you need to transfer it, it needs to be transferred out to another facility. Fire was the standard that just took off. It was you ever see those like dining room tables that are really long? It was like that. And Joe Biden sat in the middle, like not at the end. He sat in the middle, and then all these health executives that were running multi-billion-dollar companies, they're all probably, a lot of them are still there, like running their multi-billion-dollar companies. It took the whole day. It was a whole day, like, to be there. And then we flew back several times to work on like the APIs. I felt like I had no time because there were so many people that I needed to talk to while I was there. It was so exciting, and it was nice to see everybody in the room working together. There is some stuff online about that meeting. You could probably Google it. It's like several meetings over the course of like several months, like just committing to Fire, saying we're going to make this happen. I think why, my company was there is because we were very early adopters in APIs for like, it sounds so silly. It's like, health companies should have APIs, right? Like to get data out from one place to another. A lot of them just weren't doing that. It just wasn't a thing. In 2016, it was definitely fun being in the room with all of the competitors, like seeing them all there. It was very weird. Like these are people I never met in person, a lot of them. So that's part of the reason why it was fun. It was just seeing like some of the competitors. I'll tell you what influenced me the most. Now, I got a funny story. So this is actually a really funny story. This actually changed my life. So I'm in the room with like Obama, right? And he's got his 2 dogs there. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing. He gets to just like have his dogs hanging out with everybody. I actually was more excited about meeting his dogs. I was like, this is awesome. And then like after that, I was like, one day I'll get 2 dogs. And now I have 2 dogs, literally because I was at the White House. And, I don't know what his breed was, but you could probably Google them. But I literally have 2 dogs now that I take care of. They were just walking around. They had a professional dog walker. He had a professional dog walker the whole time. There was some guy walking his dogs around the building. But, as they were walking around, I was like, this is so cool. I get to meet his dogs. Yeah. Is it a tradition in the White House to have dogs? He did. I don't know if it's a tradition or not, but there you go. Bo and Sunny. They were really friendly. I was like shocked at how friendly they were. They were just super personable. They just ran up to people. Must have been a stressful job for dogs, right? To like just be there at the White House. But if you go here, like if I type Fire, DrChrono, so say White House, you could probably find more stuff on it. Here you go. Here is just an old article on it. There's just a lot of old stuff. Like we were really trying to make it sync where you could sync medical records. And, Apple Health. So another initiative is like we had syncing with Apple Health. I'll show you a really fun video. Do you guys know WWDC? This was actually at WWDC. This is one of their big initiatives where they sync medical records to the iPhone. And our logo is up here. So I'll just fast forward. There you go. Boom. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know. That was it's the little things that make it fun. There you go. There's our logos. I used to follow WWDC religiously. This was 2021. I was a little in shock. I'm like, I can't believe that we were the 1%, Y Combinator listed it on their site. They listed it on their website. They're like, here's the top 100 companies. It was insane. It's just, you don't think about it too much when you're in the thick of it. You're just kind of running the company. You don't think about that much. And then I was just really proud. I was like, this is amazing that we got one of their biggest exits and they were listing us on their website. So I was super, super excited. Like when in my own way, I celebrated. I don't think we had like any big party or anything, but in my own way, it's like the milestones. Like you just hit these milestones and you're like, damn, that's crazy. When you're in Y Combinator, you don't think you're the best. You're always comparing yourself to your peers. I'll give you an example. Like when I was running DrChrono, this one company raised, I don't know, it was like $10 million from A16Z. And you're just like, damn, they're crushing it. They're doing something really well. They got A16Z to invest. They're doing something really right. And you're self-reflecting like, what are we doing that's different than them? And like, why are they getting these amazing investors, and kind of run these scenarios in your head. But 10 years later, that company didn't exist anymore. It's gone. And they didn't have an exit. There was zero money like exit. So it was all the money was just burned, was wasted. And I'm like, when you're looking back, you're like, oh, it's not just the money you raise. You think that's success, and it's not. It's like, I think the fact that we stuck out longer than any other YC company in our batch. Me and my co-founder stuck through it as co-founders, running the company full time longer than anyone in our batch. They all gave up, every single founder, and we just stuck through it. And I'm like, sometimes it's just fortitude and grit that gets you to success. And I'm like, all those people who gave up 4 years in, 3 years in, 2 years in, 5 years in, 6 years in, 7 years in, like, they didn't see it through. Sometimes it's just like grinding it out day in and day out. And like, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but just sticking there and just like, what do we do this week? What do we do next week? What do we do the week after? Like, there's like no magic to it. It's just literally grinding it out. And it's easy for me to say this now, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought it was just like, oh, this company, you know, there were companies, they sold too soon. Like some of my friends sold too soon. They sold for like very little money. It was not life-changing money but they could have grinded it out longer. They just got scared, or they got tired, or they were scared of competitors, or, you know, in our batch, we just stuck. We were too dumb to quit, but also like too smart to not give up, because it's like a really good industry. It was like a little bit of like all of that mixed in one. I mean, going to the White House was life-changing. It was just like, wow, this is, you know, I didn't expect that to happen. It was crazy that we were important enough to like bring to the White House. Like when you're building a company, you don't think about that. You're just like, I just was like, how do we get our users happy, or how do we make them more delighted? How do we keep as many users using us? How do we get more of them? And going to the White House was like for me, it was like an amazing moment where I felt like a validation. I mean, I would say it wasn't like, I would say top 1% in like getting people to work together. Like I always had a lot of friends. I was able to like bring a lot of people together in high school, and it was very fun. You know, I think everybody has their superpowers. For me, it was like just having a lot of friends in high school and then in college. And like, I realized that was a talent. And I was like, as I got older, I was like, okay, I could use that in business. That's great. Like it wasn't like any reason, but like, you know, like I used to in high school go on walks with like 20 of my friends just for fun, but I would get everybody together. And I'm like, when I started my first company, I was able to like recruit people just because they wanted to hang out and be around me. And I was like being strategic. I was trying to pick the people I could execute, but I was good at naturally recruiting people in the early days of that company. And like self-reflecting, it's just like I don't know, it's a skill in itself that I just never learned. It was just there, if that makes sense. So top 1% of friendships, I guess, I don't know, like whatever it is. Like I was never a competitor against other people, which is like, I didn't compete in sports with people. I didn't compete with people in school. I did a little bit, but it wasn't like, it was more for me to just get the grade I was looking for. It wasn't like trying to like compete with other people. So I was really trying to like get the grades that I wanted. I do think that that's part of the fun of YC is everybody's trying to push each other. Like it's a really nice like thing. Like, you know, I went to dinner with one founder last week who was in my batch, and he's doing it. He's telling me like, you know, basically he only raised a little bit of money. He's profitable. He's like, I'm going to go do my Series A now. I'm like, damn, he's like killing it. Like, that's amazing. He's almost profitable. But I'm like, now he's going to go to raise the Series A. So I'm like, you see all these people, like they're doing it. It really motivates you. I like food. It's hard to quit food, but what did I quit? I don't know. I mean, one thing that here's one that I felt like was going to kill me was I got my motorcycle's license. I have my motorcycle's license, but I don't own a motorcycle because I will probably crash and die.